Graciously joined today by Hedgesville High School head coach Kelly Church. Coach Church, it's a pleasure.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So we wanted to get into your coaching background a little bit. What inspired you to get into coaching?
Well, when I was I've shared this story before with other people. When I was a little guy, my dad died when I was 9. So I grew up. My background wasn't the khaki pants that I wear sometimes now or all the Nike gear. I grew up in Richmond. It wasn't always the easiest of times. My mom was a single mom with 4 kids. My brothers didn't necessarily make very good life decisions. My sister actually ran away. It was a pretty tough home environment. Along the way, and again, my dad died when I was 9. So my teachers and coaches were the people that helped me become a better person and learn how to say please and thank you and yes sir and no sir. And so, basketball was kind of my escape. And then as I found that escape, those people were the ones who looked out and, not only just mentored me, but maybe mentored me as I got older. But when I was younger, they literally took care of me, raised me. So.
That's so interesting. I've heard one of your coaching philosophies, and one of your quotes is, basketball is just an excuse for relationships. And I think that's such an interesting statement. What do you mean by that when you say that?
Well, we all have. You have work relationships. You have home relationships. You have family relationships. You have social relationships. But basketball, I think, is not unique. I think it's just, like many sports, but basketball is what draws us to get together. It's horrible to do in an interview, but I'm going to do it. So we're going to let this roll. You asked. Zandon Gainey sent me this today at 9, one eyeball, excuse the crooked head.
You're fine.
At 9:59 this morning. Hey, Coach, hope you're doing good this morning. Just wanted to let you know, still to this day, I'm really thankful for you, for all the help you gave me to become a better person outside of basketball. I love you and good luck this season. Unsolicited, 9:59 this morning from Zandon Gainey from last year. That's why. That's in a nutshell. That's why I coach basketball.
And it's bigger than just basketball. Obviously, you want to win, and you always have a very competitive team, regardless of kind of the circumstances you guys have. And just to see that, that just speaks a lot about your character. What is one thing that you think that the community has kind of misconstrued about your character?
It's one of those things. I'm not going to apologize for who I am. None of us are perfect, and there's certainly things that I wish I handled maybe a little differently throughout my life. I think everyone does, but when I'm coaching a basketball game, lots of times I don't have the same X's as the other team's O's.
Of course.
And I'm put in a situation where I'm supposed to do everything I can to help our team win the game. So you can ask officials. I don't curse at anyone. I don't use bad words when I talk to the officials. I read the rule book on a regular basis. I try to know the rules to use them to the best advantage that I can. I also I think our attention to detail, I think all those things are what give us a chance against other teams. And some people might say, oh, God, that's a lot for high school basketball. One of the things we say here all the time is, the hardest thing we do is every day. And the best thing we do here is every day. And so, this is, you saw Flex Day today. I appreciate you coming and watching practice. And when I tell you that's not much different than a practice, it's a little different. And when I say it's a little different, it's not easier when the practices start. It's even harder. And today was an intense flying around 2 hours. Usually they're a little longer. Our girls are getting ready to hopefully win the regional championship or sectional championship in volleyball. And so, it's just this is what we do and how we do it. And so, but I think sometimes people only see me on, you see me on game day and he seems intense, and I am. And if I can guarantee you, there's plenty of times where I raise my voice to Zandon Gainey, and I can also promise you he didn't always love it. But if Zandon Gainey didn't understand how much I care about him as a human being, far more than winning or losing a basketball game, then there's no way Zandon Gainey would ever send me that text. So when you ask, so in terms of the community and what the community, what do you wish more people understood? I think all of us in our walks of life we can't be overly worried about what other people think, as long as when we put our head on the pillow, we're I believe in God and Jesus.
Of course.
I also sometimes say bad words, and I'm not a perfect human being, but do I wish that more people saw all the extended relationships and what it's really about for me? I mean, sometimes, but they're the same people that want to yell at me about why we don't do this or that on the basketball court and have little to no understanding of the game of basketball. And so I worry about our kids, our team, our families, and do the best I can with that.
And I think that's interesting too, because I look at a quote pretty much daily, the man in the mirror, and it's, you can fool everybody else along this life, but if you can't really fool yourself. And as long as you can lay your head on the pillow at night and be okay with the results and how you treat people, which just seeing how you interact with your kids today, you might scream and yell, but they know that it's for the betterment, not only for their basketball career but their personal life and who they want to be as men, fathers eventually, and just successful people in society. So we'll move on. I appreciate getting a little bit of insight on you from that, but can you go over some notable achievements and successes that you've had, not only with just this team but with any team that you've had?
Well, anytime I talk about like notable achievements, I would be remiss if and I'll try not to get emotional. Like I was a head basketball coach in Virginia before I came here at a very young age, and I coached in college briefly. I got married, and all of a sudden it was like I had Adam and Alex. I had my twin sons.
I remember that.
And I had my twin sons and me, and so. I tell our kids all the time, like, you're going to have lots of days where you don't feel like doing stuff. I mean, you just don't. We talk about, that's why we talk about discipline so much. Like discipline is doing what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do it, even when it's not what you want to do. And so, in raising Adam and Alex, like they again, they were 1 year old. And so I was the same guy who could, I'm taking care of 1-year-old twins, and I now give up being a head basketball coach. So people ask, like, if, you saw that energy from me today at the end of not, like, it was, I had to deal with a couple little taxing things at school today. It wasn't a perfect school day, and so I was a little rushed at the end. I had to cover an extra class, and, but that energy and that level of intensity for me, that literally is every day. And it wouldn't matter if we were practicing at 4 a.m.
You're there.
That's the way it is. And when people ask, like, how do you, like, I'm 57 years old, and how do you still bring that intensity and that energy? Sometimes if you really, really love something and you have to give it up, whether it be for a short period or a long period. So I had to give up basketball to raise Adam and Alex for a couple years before I ended up coming here. That made me understand, like, if I ever get to do it again, I'll never take it for granted. I'll never take one practice for granted, never take one. And sometimes that creates a little bit too much intensity, I think.
It does.
But I no matter what, I'm not taking anything for granted. And so in terms of accomplishments, like my children, my family, like Noah Brown's a senior. He's my stepson. He literally, this isn't an exaggeration. People are like, oh, he literally has a 5.0. He takes every class is an honors or an AP class. Caleb, one of my stepsons, already graduated and has a great job. Went to college and did a really good job and graduated with honors. And now Noah's going to go probably to the United States Merchant Marine Academy to play basketball.
It's like was Alex?
Adam did.
Adam did.
Yep. Alex went on to coach Division I basketball.
Yeah, Marshall, right?
Right. And so it's one of those things, like going a little bit backwards to your earlier thing you said, like, so we're people in the community. I can't overly worry about it. Man, if I'm a pretty good dad, and one of the things that's helped me, I think, as a basketball coach is I truly do treat each one of my kids the same way I would my players, and vice versa. I treat the players the same way I would my kids. I never try to separate it, even when they were actually my children. And so taking care of them, there's no way I could have that intensity and be that hard on them when we play if we didn't have an unbelievably good relationship away from the court. And so, like, my children, my family, a beautiful wife, those basketball achievements, like, when you wake up and you've got twins and I don't mean this in a begrudging way, but there's no wife anymore. That's hard.
That's very difficult.
Basketball games, that's supposed to be fun. And I'm not saying they're not intense, and there's some, and so we try to make everything as hard as we can here when we're doing certain things to help prepare the kids for life, because you're going to run into hard things. And in the end, you win or lose a game. You win or lose a game. The game should really, really matter all the way up until it's done. And at that point, you got to move on pretty quickly.
Right. Of course, no. Like you said, like that preparation for life is not only like the kids that might want to play at the next level, but the kids that are going to be dealing with everyday stress. There's a couple coaches in the area that they don't look at necessarily, how successful they are this season. They look, ask me 10 years down the line, when some of my players and how well they're doing.
Right. And, well, we won a state championship. And so, obviously, it's not easy to do. A lot of things have to happen, and so we were fortunate enough to do that. Obviously, that's a great accomplishment. I'm in our school's Hall of Fame. Chris, my assistant coach, is in our school's Hall of Fame. I mean, those are great accomplishments for us personally. But the relationships and everything else, that's far more important, right? But it doesn't lots of kids say they want to play high school basketball, and I would tell our kids, you were just at our flex day practice. If you didn't really like today, you don't want to play college basketball. And if you like today, even the bad, even the get on the line and run, if you liked all that, if you like the fact that tomorrow when we have another flex day, that we're going to lift for a half an hour, that we're going to have study hall, if you like all that, then you might want to play college basketball. If you shy away from this, you don't want to play college basketball. And then, so when you talk about accomplishments, obviously, and you can scan to it if you want. QJ's on the door, and you can get a shot of that before you leave. I've coached more kids that actually played in the NFL, not around here, but when I was in Richmond, I've coached 3 kids that played in the NFL. But obviously, QJ making the salary he makes, being able to provide for his family the way he does, the fact that he's an elite, high-level scorer. He's amazing, and but along the way, we live in a world now where everybody gives kids false promises. Right. I think I'm not throwing any coach under the you come here and I'm going to help you play college basketball. Come here and the thing I would tell people openly, and this isn't, Kelly's recruiting kids. What I'm saying is, if I wanted to be a baker, I would try to spend time with somebody who helped lots of people become bakers. Of course. Over the years, we've had it. You got to be talented enough. Xavier Kirk's going to play college basketball. He's going to play. For sure. He already has opportunities. Noah Brown. Noah Brown he's not this elite, but I got it. Part of it is he has a 5.0. He's going to play college basketball. He already has the offer. He's going to go as long as he has to get in. It's Merchant Marine Academy, so it's not easy getting in. T.D. Botkins, if he wants to, is going to play college basketball. So I talk about if you're good enough to play and you come here, but what I'm not doing, and I can't tell you that I'm going to go to our flex day at the middle school tonight and just watch. I'm not telling you I don't have an interest in the kids that are already coming here. What I'm not going to do that I know other people do, and I don't begrudge them, but I'm not going to watch 6th graders play and hope they come to my school and talk. I'm just not doing it, man. And if you're a kid and you live in our district, I hope to coach you. And if you don't live in our district, and I saw your interview with Brian Thomas, and you talk about accomplishments. I know sometimes Musselman people aren't fond of Kelly, but and I know he's dealing with some stuff now, but for the last 15 years, Brian Thomas is the beacon. Yeah. We all love Brian Thomas. Well, I'd like to think that I played a role in Brian Thomas becoming Brian Thomas.
He's a Hedgesville graduate.
Yeah, and he played for me, and we still talk on the phone, once every couple weeks.
That's my guy.
Joel Silver's a pastor, and he's the head of a church. He also is an administrator in Jefferson County Schools, and the list like that goes. That's the teachers, the Patrick Ashton's in charge of all the buses, and people like that I think I helped become leaders. Leadership sometimes is lonely, and so it is. Full circle on people in the community, people would feel a little bit differently if they, their kid played for me. They got to see.
I guarantee it.
So
and coming from somebody, I didn't get to play for you, but I played against you, and just seeing your attention to detail, your players were always prepared, and there was the unity about those guys. I think that's one thing that's always separated your program, is you might not always have necessarily the skill set, but you're going to make up for it with the IQ and for everybody else playing for each other. And I've always respected that. But coming into this season, what is one of the biggest goals you have for this group?
Well, I just, it's on today's practice plan. It's like, it's not the will to win. I mean, everybody around here, and again, I'm not downplaying our kids, or I talked to X about it the other day. X, when I told him you were commenting and said, when everybody gets together and they start talking, and then all the unbelievably intelligent basketball people that are going to be putting their little things out there, everybody's going to tweet and text, and tailgate central, and look at the panhandle, and Hedgesville's, we'll be the worst when it all starts on paper. They'll say we have the least talent. We're not going to.
They're crazy if they think that.
But honestly, I mean it in a respect. Everybody's good around here this year.
They are.
Everybody's good. Derek does a really, really good job. A couple of their kids have really, really worked hard and gotten better. They're going to be good. Washington, Brian's there. Ryan Miller's there.
Incredible coach.
Who also played here.
It's like you got kind of a Coach K tree going on all around the Eastern
It's literally if you look at it, Coach Samples was here for a while.
He was Spring Mills.
Jameson, who's one of his assistants, was here for a while, and Shannon Layton was also an assistant at Spring Mill, was here for a while, and Kyle Van Meter was here for a long time. And so, so when you talk about the accomplishments, there's 6 teams in the Eastern Panhandle.
And 4 of them have Hedgesville imprints.
Yeah, so, that obviously makes me feel pretty good about it.
Has to.
Yeah, and then you talk about the community thing. It's it's kind of ironic. Kelly does too much of this, or Kelly does too much of that. Everybody's looking for basketball coaches. Our new girls basketball coach is Alex Shanholzer, was from here. Before that, George Goss was the coach at Spring Mills.
Yep.
He was from here. And so, the Musselman community, like we talked about, is Brian Thomas. And so, I just think it's last year one of our other assistant coaches was already at Jefferson. And so, that's the way it's supposed to work. If you really care, and I want to win games, but of course, I also I think all of us are supposed to be doing this because we care about kids and trying to help kids to become better human beings. Whether they're and if I can help a kid go to college somewhere and everything else, then whether they went to our school or not, I've certainly helped kids from other schools. As long as they can beat us. But I won't help kids that I think are disrespectful.
Of course not, you shouldn't.
But kids who act right, who try hard, who play hard, that are good players. I certainly get lots of phone calls from other coaches, not just in our state, but when I was a young guy and I was I'd finished in college, and I was a manager, and I got cut. I tried to walk on, got cut, and then I was a manager, and then eventually I got to practice and be on the team. And but I used to work every basketball camp I could in the summer, and back then that's how they did it. And so I would work 9 basketball camps, 9 weeks of the summer. I would go from camp to camp to camp to camp. That's all I did. And so in doing so, the number of relationships that I built is pretty immense. And then Alex, my son, now has his own company, and he coached Division I basketball for a while, and now he helps Division I coaches change jobs. And so
that's sweet, man.
Having those relationships with people. And so I used to. So if let's say that, and I don't, no offense to Xavier, who I love, but let's say I thought Xavier was good enough to play at Clemson. I can't tell you that if I call Brad Brunell that he's going to give X a scholarship. But I know if I call him and I said that, he would look. And so having that relationship with people makes a huge, huge difference. But that's in today's world. That's that's a big part of how people get recruited to play basketball.
You're right, because with the transfer portal, I've noticed a trend over the last 4 or 5 years. It's really a lot more difficult to be recruited as a high school senior now and competing with all those guys that are in the portal compared to when I played, back in like 2015, where they were recruiting high school guys and the portal was still not yet there. So it's just an interesting aspect of how high school and college sports have now changed so much just in the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's incredible, and that's the thing. Like, it's like, do I don't think you should recruit high school kids.
I don't either.
Have kids transfer here? Sure. And me, no different than anyone else. I'm not different in this. If Billy calls me or Billy's mom calls me and she's going to transfer or thinking about transferring to Hedgesville, will I meet with them? Well, I will. But one of the things I do, whether people believe it or not, is I tell them, before we talk about any reason why you might want to transfer, you're not supposed to transfer for athletic reasons. My gosh, if we're in a world where we're still pretending like kids don't do that, that's silly. And so, but what I do is I tell them there's going to be some sacrifices. Like you're not going to be with some of the kids you grew up with. You're not. And so do I think it's, and the one that gets me, I think it's cute when parents say out loud, and I've had parents say, well, I'm just going to kind of let Billy decide. Like my son is when he was 14, and when Noah Brown was 14, I didn't let him decide what time he went to bed. And my goodness, you're going to let a 14-year-old decide where he's going to go to school, but you're not going to let him decide. Yeah, it's crazy. Bad. So, but the model, I talked to Coach Whittington about it today. The model we use now in high school sports, we seem to just copy the model from college sports.
It is.
And college is a mess. Now, high schools, obviously, we could talk for an hour and a half about the football situation. It's a mess.
It is.
It's a mess. So, we're going to be here and we're going to do things the way we do them. And again, like I said in the beginning, man, the hardest thing we do is every day, and the best thing we do is every day. This is it's a little bit different today because it's closer to practices, but it's that kind of intensity on a regular basis, and that's kind of what we expect.
For sure. And this is the last question I have for you today, Coach Church. What are your expectations coming into this season for your team and how they will perform and where they will finish?
Well, we try to be as unbelievably process-oriented as opposed to outcome-oriented. So, the journey, as cliche as this sounds, the journey is far more important than the destination. Like, where do we want to go? Well, if I went to, if Ryan Miller was nice enough to let me come to their first practice, or if Kyle Van Meter was nice enough to let me come to their first practice, and I sat down with their kids and I said, okay, guys, here's the thing. Let's everybody write down your goal for the season. And everybody's going to write one of two things. They're either going to write one, to go to Charles, to go to states.
Of course.
Or two, to win a state championship.
Yep.
Everybody's going to write down the same thing. Well, okay, that means you want to win. Everybody wants to win. And then everybody talks about, okay, well, you have the will to win. But it's not. It's what it was on today's practice. It's not the will to win. It's the will to prepare to win. Are you willing to do all that stuff? And the preparation's hard. And your willingness to do it. Now it becomes our job to. When do we have to push them a little harder? When do we have to ease up some? And all those things are geared into it. But I know this year, all the kids who play varsity basketball that are seniors will graduate with their class. That's happened every year since I've been here, and I don't mean it in a bad way.
That's what matters.
There's lots of schools around here, or at least some, where that hasn't happened. I'm not throwing stones at those schools, this will be year 27 here, in over 30 years of coaching as a head coach. Every single kid that's a senior will graduate. Most of them will go on to either post-secondary education, whether it be a 2-year school, 4-year school, or they'll join the military, and then some of them will go into the workforce or go to a trade school, hopefully they'll become good. It doesn't mean that every kid you ever played for, so every kid, you've never had a kid get in trouble. No. One of the things I think we do a really, really good job of is if our kids do something wrong, we hold them accountable. like we do. You were at practice. You were at practice.
Get
today.
a wall.
Get
Or
a wall.
play catch. Play catch was very interesting. I like that. I've never seen that before.
You missed 2 or 3 passes in a row. Go play catch. It doesn't. I mean, I'm not doing it to embarrass anybody or anything else. Like it's the reality of it. I mean, it's
fundamentals.
Yeah, it is. And we work obviously a great deal of time on that. And obviously, you have our practice schedule very, very detailed.
Yeah.
And so, but he said, like, okay, where do you want to end up? Well, I want us at the end of the year to, 1, be playing the best basketball we can, and 2, so many different things can happen.
Right.
Does our team continue to grow together? I think in all relationships, you either grow together or you grow apart. Doesn't matter if it's my relationship with my wife, my relationship with my sons and my daughter, or it doesn't matter. All relationships, you're either growing together or growing apart. Doesn't mean you can't grow apart for a little bit and you really come back together. But so I hope we continue to grow together every single day, that we stay focused on the process as opposed to overly worrying about the outcome.
Of course.
And at the end of the season, put ourselves in a position where no matter what, we have a chance against everybody we play. And then, I just talked to our volleyball coach, and she looked tense when she walked in. It's sectional finals tonight, and
huge day.
If you win this, and then in volleyball now, no matter what, then they have regionals, or today regional. I guess today.
I think it's the regional. Yeah.
Today's regional. So, then no matter what, if they win today, then they go to states, and so, obviously, there's a lot on the line, and. As high school coaches, like the advice that I will continue to give Ryan and I give Kyle is, it's going to matter a lot to you, and it should matter a lot to you. And in lots of ways, the hardest thing that will happen is it will matter more to me than it does to the kids. Kids bounce back pretty quick.
They do.
Noah Brown's going to be unbelievably disappointed when our basketball season ends. Even if we win a state championship, I think he'll be disappointed basketball's over because he loves it. But the next day, he's going to be at baseball practice. He's gonna move. Kids are resilient; they bounce back. Coaches who really, really care about it, like I know those guys do, it sticks with you a little longer. It takes a little longer to get past it. If you're a kid who only plays one sport, it takes you longer to get past it. And so it's awful. Put an awful lot of I'm a big Tony Bennett fan, which I'm so sad he got
genius,
out.
man.
No, but
the portal changed him.
Yeah, he made it's awful. It's like it's everything's about you paying guys money and everything else. But so you make it about the journey, right? And try to be the best that you can be. But you can't live or die off a game. And don't get me wrong, I'm not. It's the thing that I'm. Well, what do you try to work on the most? I try to work on, because my up is up.
It is.
And I try never to be down. Now, sometimes I need my up not to be so high, because kids are not going to be able to match that intensity every day for 4 months. And that's how long our season's going to be. Hopefully it's 4 months. And so it's why like you saw in the beginning, and today was a little different because Coach Rest and Coach Triggs, but Coach Triggs was he worked with the Lakers, right?
Yeah.
And so he was a behind the scenes guy more than anything else, and he cut up film and did all that stuff. He our scouting reports, and between him and Chris, it's just tremendous. Two guys easily head coaches. Kyle Triggs was assistant coach at Rutgers. Chris has been assistant coach here for 27 years, been with me the whole time. And so I really am trying to be more dynamic and using my staff a little more so that I'm not. But then today became different. Kyle had a couple business meetings he had to do. So he's not out there yet, and so that throwing me into a little bit of a frenzy. So what's something I'm trying to work on is, sometimes when you get thrown a curveball, you might, if you relax a little bit, you might hit it further.
Of course.
And so I just seem to sometimes get so fired up. So at the end of the year, hopefully all these kids will seem to care about me as much as QJ does, and